everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome to US Chess School class. This is Grandmaster Magesh Panchanathan. Hi. Did we just start? Yes. We just started. We're calculating black to play and win in this position. Just waiting for a second for everyone else to join in. So let's go ahead and get started. This was a fun day for chess. I'm hoping that all of you were all kind of involved in the chess, live events today. Who can tell me what happened in chat? Yep, big day. It's going to be Magnus Carlsen against Praggnanandhaa in the World Cup. I was going to say World Championship. I don't know. Maybe that too, right? World Cup. And that's big. I was watching the game live, guys. It was a lot of fun. Particularly the tie breaks, you don't have to wait too much. So it's, quick games. So you're not watching the whole game. Even for a chess player, I know we don't have hours together to sit down and watch a game sometimes, but tie breaks are so much fun to watch. It was not so much of a blunder, actually, if you think about it. He kind of slowly got outplayed. I think he made one mistake of overextending one of his pawns, of course, in the game that he lost. But then after that, it was pretty methodical. So that's what I was actually quite impressive. I mean, that was quite impressive by Pragg. I was impressed by Pragg, yeah. So F4 blundered. Are you talking about the white game or the black game, Johan? I don't think there was any huge blunder. I mean, the computer's throwing mistakes here and there, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. But anyways, guys, so today I have some games positions from Pragg. I think it's time to celebrate his performance, yeah? So I have some positions in games that I wanted to show you. I played one game against him once. That he had two Grandmaster noms, and he was going to become a Grandmaster, which is kind of obvious. He was trying to beat the youngest Grandmaster record. At that point, it was Karyakin's record. So he was in Charlotte playing in a close GM tournament. And I was looking at that and I saw the padding and I'm like, okay, this is my chance. This kid does not look like he's going to be in this rating for a long time. I need to beat him. And someday he's going to go become a world champion or something. And I get to say that I beat him, right? Except it all turned bad. He was playing a pretty bad tournament, but he somehow managed to beat me. So I have no good story there. But if you guys do really well and answer some good questions, you will get to see that game. I promise I will show you the game in which I can proudly say I lost to Praggnanandhaa. But yes, you have to be good. You have to be able to be sharp, on your toes, and solve positions and give me answers. Yeah, you have to earn your right to watch an embarrassment of a game in which I kind of lost, and you have to earn that right. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, no looking up any games. I did say it's Praggnanandhaa's game. The games that I'm going to look at, I might be showing some from World Cup, some from before. You might have seen it, but that's very good. In any case, no looking up in the middle of the class, okay? And that goes without saying, but I still have to say it. All right, I'm going to go through the opening pretty quickly in this game. Pragg is playing black, and some of you might recognize the game, but again, I'm not too worried. I just want to get to an interesting point and talk about it. Knight G is obviously an offbeat line. He's not playing anything serious. He's trying to take his opponent out of the game. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you also when and where the game was played. We will just see the game up to a point. So knight g6 d4. I think white is playing very methodically. Black has spread two moves, and the knight's not on f6. It's on g6. d4 break seems quite methodical. Yeah. Nothing special so far. The only thing is this bishop was a little off without the knight on c6. Aradhya, what are we doing? We are just studying Pragg's games. Yeah, Praggnanandhaa. Oh, Liliana, so I was in Chicago. I was there at the Pan Ams. I know I did meet a few of you there, right? I said hi. Some of you I did not recognize, obviously, because I've only seen you in the online class. which was actually fun to see you guys in person. Yes, Wesley. And some of you said you missed me, unfortunately. But I will be there in some other tournaments. I'll be around in nationals. I'll be around in some big tournaments. So hopefully, if you guys see me, do stop by and say hi. I would love to talk to you guys. Yeah. Put a face to your names. It'll be easier for me to work with you. All right, moving on to the game. After queen d4, c6. Again, I'm going to go through some moves pretty quickly. Queen d6, queen d3, still nothing special. Yeah. Bishop e7. And at some point, because c6 has been played, black has to make one little commitment here, right? I mean, either black needs to achieve d5 or just settle with d6 and just move on. Queen b6, I guess, is just putting some pressure on this bishop, not allowing the bishop to develop and stuff like that. Okay, anyway, so here, things start getting a little interesting. White goes with f4. By the way, I think this is right around the time I'm going to change the chat to only me. You only get to chat with me. Thank you. And towards the end, I will open up the chat again. Okay. All right, f4. So white is clearly indicating that, he wants to play a little bit more aggressive. He wants to maybe punish the knight on g6 a little bit. f5, e5, both kind of options coming in, right? And Pragg decides to castle. And the main decision points come in now. In fact, after f4, he spent a little bit of time thinking about the move, and then he played castling, and then white plays h4. So, the moment of truth. We start with the first situation here. What do you think is going on? If this happens in your game, what's your first reaction? Well, even if you did, no worries. We can still learn new things while analyzing multiple stuff. No, you did not, Alan. You think you saw this in Mastermind. You did not. I can promise you, you did not see this in the Mastermind camp. I can promise you. The only way I can be super sure is, yeah, this game, there is no way you saw this in the Mastermind camp, Alan. We'll come back to that later. Okay. Anyway, so what I'm getting is I see that white is attacking. Some of you are clearly saying that white is being super aggressive. That's right. F4 and H4. Yeah. So look at that. F4 already showed aggressive intention, but H4 is even more now. Yeah. And not only that, it's like a kind of a pawn sack, even though it seems like a poison pawn. That's still a pawn that you can capture, right? Okay, Aradhya, very thematic. Fair enough. I think first question I guess most of you are looking at is can I actually take the pawn? Yeah. So I'm going to give like not too much, maybe 30 seconds. And I want to know how many of you want to seriously consider taking the pawn, how many of you don't want to, right? 30 seconds. No rush. Giving you plenty of time. Okay. Let's make a simple decision. How many of you want to take the pawn? Can you actually raise your hand in Zoom so it'll be easier for me to see? I want to see who the brave souls are. Oh, I see a few. But not that many, huh? So let's see. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 of you want to take that pawn. And you think you would live to see that next day. Oh, I see more now. A few more adding in. I would still lose, okay? Well, that's not a good idea, Samuel. You don't want to take the pawn thinking that you're going to lose because of taking the pawn, yeah? All right, put your hands down. I'm going to assume the rest of you don't want to take the pawn. Let's make it clear, though, right? I won't probably take this pawn personally when I look at it. I didn't calculate too much about this. Knight h4, bishop h4. Looks a little dangerous. But for the sake of this class, we are going to look at different variations, yeah? So my first question would be, what happens after knight takes h4? Again, we have talked about this in our previous session, so hopefully some of you remember our previous sessions. Each position has a nature, right? And I want you to kind of build over it. When the position becomes concrete, I want you to only give me variations. When the position becomes strategic, I want you to only give me ideas, right? Maybe a little bit of moves. Everywhere you still need to give me some moves, but I want your answers to reflect the nature of the position. For example, I do not want you to give me vague ideas in this position. If knight takes h4, concrete variations, okay? Okay, Vihan has given me something. Always do some candidate moves. JR. If you want to change your name to something, then I might, or if you prefer the initials, I'll just use it. Vihan will come to that. Aradhi, we're looking at knight takes h4 right now. I want an answer for knight takes h4 first. Okay, I think the time is up. I do want everyone to give me one variation. Let's go. Remember this, you have to, only if I see all participation, then I can show you the game that I played against Prague. I need like 100% participation. You have to earn this right as a class. Okay, very good. I see a lot of answers coming in now. So I'm mainly getting, I would say 3 moves. I'm getting queen h3, queen g3, and g3. These are the 2 moves I'm getting, yeah? Yes, okay, fair enough. Very good. Now let's talk about this. Knight h4, I think definitely g3 came to my mind early on too, but if you look at all the 3 candidate moves, the only real problem is the knight has only one square to go to, that's g6. And when f5 happens, where can the knight go to? What is the only square for the knight when f5 happens? e5. So once you look at that, you know what is the best first move. Of course, queen g3, yeah? Again, when you look at these things from retrospect, it makes a lot of sense, right? If you play queen h3, it's still possible. I might start, I think queen h3, I don't know if I can just start with d5 or something. Queen h3 looks a little dangerous, right? Because you're walking into that discovered attack. And I mean, you can play f5 after that, but it doesn't seem right. G3 or queen g3 definitely can be considered more. G3, like I said, the same problem is you're not bringing the queen into the game. So queen g3 is the best move, and I think it's clearly better for white already, yeah? So if you decided to take the pawn, and if you thought about taking with the knight, you made a big mistake. It's already game over. After queen g3, knight g6, f5, yeah? Bishop takes h4, on the other hand, is also possible. So actually, I'm not going to make the move. What would you play after bishop takes h4? Vihan's so focused on, did he take, did he not take? Frog took the pawn. No, Frog didn't take the pawn. Frog took the pawn. No, he didn't. Well, yeah, g3 is kind of forced, I guess. Yeah, unless you want to play king f1. So bishop h4, g3, then I guess I move back, and then what? Probably bishop e7. Yeah, Austin, I was just joking about king f1, of course. We're not playing king f1. If f5, knight e5, yes, I think you still have this problem. If you play f5, knight e5, and your queen does not have a great square to move to the king side, you have to think about it. Actually, I don't remember exactly what the move is for this either. Let's see. What would I play here? There are a few moves that come to my mind. Bishop h4, g3, bishop e7, queen f3, Santosh. Yes, that's definitely one of the candidate moves. I guess e5 is definitely one of the candidate moves. So long line I wrote about. Oh, okay, I did not see the long line. I'll have to check it. Bishop h4, g3, bishop e7, queen f3 is what I'm getting from a few of you. Bishop e7, queen h3 is not possible. And so you've already played g3. So the queen is not going to h3, yeah? You've blocked that. But okay, so bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop comes back to e7. I do like queen f3. I think that's definitely appealing. I also am interested in e5. Okay, so if I play e5, maybe f5 or f6 is possible. I cannot play this one because you'll just take. The appeal of e5 is, of course, because I get to play knight e4. The appeal of queen f3 is because I get to play this move. So bishop e3 also I briefly considered. Queen takes b2, rook b1, queen a3 might still be an interesting option, even though I'm down a couple of pawns. I've just managed to develop my bishop as well, right? Maybe something like c5. I think so let's just make a decision. Which one would we like? So if we play queen f3, we're threatening this, and after queen h5, there's h6. And then maybe some f5, bishop takes h6 becomes a very, very strong threat, yeah? But if you play queen f3, can I push the f pawn? No, then it's still queen h5, trouble. Can I push the d pawn? Then I take. I think I'm going to settle with queen f3, guys, yeah? So I think queen f3 and still looks pretty strong. Let's see, what do you guys think is the evaluation? We should probably do that thing, yeah? Where we do the evaluation and then we check with the engine. Can we just sack the h7 pawn? You can try to sack the h7 pawn, but your king is not so safe, is it? Because I will get f5. As long as your knight's on g6, I know you want to play rook h8, yeah? Okay. So queen f3, queen a5 is good. No, but queen a5, I mean, just remember this. White's just down one pawn for all of this. I've not sacrificed anything major. I can even play bishop d2 with the idea of knight d5. So if you play queen a5, so I'm not too worried about White's position as much because it's just down one pawn. So I think pretty much everyone's giving me a big advantage for White. RNDS is about equal, of course. Yeah, that's very much possible knowing Stockfish. Okay, I think it's time to check. Okay, I'll have to pause the screen share a little bit. Okay, and then let's move this guy to the side. Okay, this is what I got. So where are the plus minus to the core? Of course, Stockfish is going to say equal. Okay, so it says rook e8 is even slightly better. Now that makes me wonder if queen f3 was even good. Yeah? I think we might need to change our opinion with queen f3. But actually, queen f3 seemed like the most reasonable move, if you ask me. So maybe the position is just about equal. It's not too bad. But frankly speaking, think about this, right? This is the position where you have to make a decision practically. I would much rather play this as white than playing this as black, right? But let's see. Let's go back. Okay, so there are better moves like b3, which I probably never thought about. But if you think about it, it makes so much sense. Put the bishop on b2 and attack the king. That's quite logical, right? Except we never think about it like that. e5 is... so we did consider e5 though. So e5 is plus equals. But the main thing is most of you considered this position to be super, super winning, which it's not. Right? It's just a practically better position for white because black has to defend very precisely, and one wrong move and black is probably lost, yeah? Okay, anyways, we do this on and off. Of course, we will come back to doing this again. But for now, we are back to the game. So anyways, if you can take the pawn, looks like bishop h4 is still a reasonable move. Knight h4 is just a losing move, yeah? But in the game, Pragg decided not to take the pawn. I think that's very reasonable. He also played the best move in the position. So we have thought about this a little bit. We talked about capturing the pawn a little bit. Now let's try to decide what is the move that black should play. It's very thematic. Vihan, I like it. I already got this from a couple of... Yes, actually turning the engine on at some point to check the evaluation does help. But remember, it only helps if you guys try to consciously evaluate and try to understand what you missed and stuff like that. I know it's fun to do it like this in class, but for your general chess work, I would recommend that too. But like I said, try to put some serious thought into your calculation and then in your evaluation and then turn Stockfish on, right? Don't be like 2 seconds and Stockfish on. Aradhya, yes. Pretty good. Austin, nice. Oh, I see an interesting variation. Liliana, perfect. That's very, very natural. All right, I'll give you a few more seconds and I'm going to tell you what Pragg played. Alice, you need to be a little bit more aggressive. Your opponent is coming after you. I like the thought process, but I think a little bit more aggressive. JR, I like it. Yes, Alan. Much better. Much better than your first move. Wesley, I think that move is too weakening. I don't know why we want to do that. I think Alan wanted to do that too. All right, time's up. Pretty much all of you are giving me the same move right now. Very good. The most thematic move, D5. If somebody tries to play recklessly and open up the position a lot when the king is in the center, you need to be aggressive, not defensive. That's the first point, right? Wait, why did I get F5, Wesley? I thought you gave me F5 at some point. And that's why I said that looks suspicious. Anyway, so going back to the point, D5 works really well. I open the bishop. And I mean, in general, I'm not going to play this in a strategic idea, right? My bad. I didn't see that before. Because most of the time, of course, capturing would already make black's pawn structure bad or lose the pawn. Or even E5 usually makes it bad for black because it gives a strong majority for white in the king side. But again, this position is not about strategic play. It's about dynamic play, right? We are trying to punish white for the lack of development and the king in the center. So D5, yeah? Now, white should have realized something here and probably taken a step back, but he didn't. So he kept going, H5. Now, what do we do? Well, the first move that should come to your mind is probably obvious. The only question is the follow-up, right? Yeah, I still want everyone to type it in. What's the first move that comes to your mind? Ooh, Aradhya, no. That's not the move that comes to my mind. We do not want to put our knight on H8. I might not be able to see each and everyone's move and say if it's right or wrong, guys. I'll try to, but I might not be able to. Okay, so our goal was to open the center. Your opponent's king is in the center, right? You play D5 to open the center. So first move that should come into your mind is to play D takes E4. Okay, of course, very knight moves what you do after that, right? Get rid of this pawn, open up the center, the file opens up. Why not, yeah? But of course, if you're going to play D takes E4, you need to calculate this very clearly. What do you think white will do? Okay. Can they play queen takes E4? Keep your calculation simple and short. My first question is after D takes E4, what will white play? That's an interesting move, JR. I didn't even consider that though. Not really quite. By the way, guys, let's make our simple decision. Pawn takes E4, queen takes E4. I think should run into just bishop H4 check, yeah? There is no G3. You might want to, the only realistic moves take. If you go king F1, you get mated. If you go king D1, you're walking into an open file. I'm not going to spend time calculating that. Completely looks lost. Rook takes H4, knight takes H4. One glance does already make me feel like I'm not getting enough out of that, right? Simply get rid of moves like that. I've also mentioned this before. The art of good calculation is to know which moves to discard and where to spend time on, right? If you know where to look for the answer, then maybe you will find that. If you're trying to spend time on a move that is not so relevant, then you just lose your chance to even find anything, right? Okay, so obviously I won't play queen e4. So pawn takes e4, maybe knight takes e4. What happens after knight takes e4? I think Austin wants to play bishop f5. Interesting. Knight h4. Okay. Attacking the pawn. Rook d8. Very good. Rook d8 is a strong candidate move. Yes, because I'm gaining a free tempo. But the thing is, I also have to think about it. If I'm sending the queen to the right side, but he's going to bother me, then I have to think about it. But it does look like a free move. Why not? That's a candidate move. But you know what? None of these moves feel critical. Like if you play knight e4, let's say I play knight h4, the game goes on. But white made a move that is the most critical in my position. I mean, in my opinion. White made put black in a tight spot, right? Clearly, this knight has no good squares, guys. This knight has no good squares. You're only trying to escape on h4. Owen, thank you. Again, human calculation, right? Computers sometimes might not even look at a move which may say it's a bad move. But from a human perspective, that move is the move that you need to find the answer for. Brian, thank you. So it's basically any move that stops knight going from h4 or bishop going to h4. Now the knight on g6 has to find answers, right? So what is it that white will do after pawn takes e4? Eric, thank you. Queen to g3, right? If you play pawn takes e4, I might not take that pawn back. I might play queen to g3. So the first move that came to your mind, already you have to find an answer. Because that pawn I can capture or I can ignore. If I can send your knight to h8, I'm absolutely happy. I would say at that point, white should be fine, right? If I play, actually, I won't even play h6. I will just leave your knight on h8 and just go on. So Wesley, this is where your calculation is going to kick in, yeah? And your knowledge. No, I was asking what white's going to play after d takes e4, Vihan. That's what my question was, right? David, absolutely good point. So if you play knight h4, I'm going to take, yes. But then, yes, things can get interesting. And you have to make a decision there. You want to sacrifice the g6 knight on g6? But why? What do we get out of that? So I'm going to play this on the board. Pawn takes e4 and queen g3. Usually I would make you think here because if queen g3 is going to make your life miserable, you might want to play something before that, right? But in this case, I will play this and I will let you guys decide. Well, maybe, Wesley, but I still want you to give me a correct evaluation on a point. So the variation you're giving me, what is the evaluation of that? It's actually quite messy. Yes, Aradhya, knight h8 is not the move I want to play. I would definitely try to stay away from that. Prague wins because he's Prague. Well, actually, I'm super impressed with his play, and I'm sure everybody is, right? One is he keeps calm, and I know him personally to some extent, but I know a lot of people who know him very well, and I know his coach very well. And from what I hear, he takes his losses quite, on the stride. He doesn't really fuss too much about it, and he keeps working. So, which is nice. Okay, so Santosh, why do you think that rook for 2 minor pieces position is actually good for black? Why? So if you play knight h4, first of all, let's start with that, right? The only question here is, can I actually do this move? Yes, Vihan, that's the only main question, right? And so Gia has said this. I think a few other people have already pointed this. There's only one critical question. That is not if I can go knight h8, no. Not if I want to give up the knight on g6, no, right? whether do I want to play knight h4 or bishop h4. Bishop h4 is more forcing, but it's also forcing for your response. You will find out as you go, right? But let's look at knight h4 first. You play knight h4, white's main option obviously has to take, because otherwise I go knight f5, your dark squares are weak, your king is still weak. Even if you grab the pawn back, it's a total mess for white. I wouldn't do that, right? So knight h4, rook h4, and what's interesting now? Austin May, that's right. JR, good. I want everyone. Come on. Very good. Queen g1 check is coming in. That's the intermediate move that you should be seeing and getting excited to say, that looks nice. Yeah? So you can throw in the check, but that's not the end of the world. You throw the check, I go bishop f1. Right? I can block it. The queen looks great on g1, but what are you really doing? What happens after that? You want to play rook e8 after that. What are you even threatening? There's a pawn on e4 still behind. Austin now says we're losing. Okay. I don't know why rook e8 is brilliant. You'll have to explain, Vihan. I don't even know what e3 is threatening. Well, don't try to remember from the game. Try to do your own calculation. Eric, that's right. That's quite exciting, right? Okay, very nice, very nice. I'm getting some good variations here. So you don't have to calculate too much. You might not be able to calculate everything. The first question is intuitively, can you make a decision? Is this actually something that's worth it? Would you go here? Because after rook h4, bishop h4, queen h4, if you play this queen g1 check, or like you play this intermediate check first, bishop f1, you don't get enough, then you're probably losing. So I think the evaluation of that would be pretty bad. Right? Rook for two minor pieces. I'm not taking black side in that, unfortunately. So the question is, can black cause any damage with the queen on g1, and can black create any problems for this, right? So there is one interesting move, and by the way, that's why this knight h4 is more interesting, right? Exactly, Wesley. That's actually a very exciting. This is like awesome game. When I saw this, I was like super impressed, of course. So the beauty is this rook is kind of trapped. Doesn't have a lot of good squares, particularly after you throw in the queen g1 check. And after bishop f1, you see the rook doesn't have a lot of squares. Right? There's no h1. And if you go to h3 or g4, I'm just going to win the exchange. You can go to h2 and you will be sitting there doing nothing. Right? Oh, this is not my game, JR. No. This is not me playing white and getting destroyed by Pragg. No. So this is a game where you find good moves that Pragg played and you earn your right to see the game that I played against Pragg. Okay, queen g1. What about b6 here? B6 seems a little too slow. I think your queen will get trapped or something, right? If I go knight e2. Oh, well, you can still run back. I'm going to go knight e2. Remember that. And your queen doesn't have a lot of squares either. You'll have to run back or you'll have to accept the sacrifice at some point. Yeah. So even though you can take your time a little bit, you have to watch it for knight e2. That's right. Now I think I'm getting moves. Vihan, Wesley, Kyle, e3. This is quite interesting. We have a threat, right? I mean, you cannot take on e3 because bishop takes h4 is winning. But we do have a threat. Our threat is to play what? Queen f2 check. That's right. I play queen f2 check. I pick up the h4 rook for free. So I'm creating a threat. Basically, I'm saying white has to move the rook, right? You don't have time to play knight e2 or anything like that. You have to move the rook. So good. You know the game. Very good. Now let's, even if you know the game, if you're analyzing it fresh, it's very different from actually trying to solve this. I mean, trying to see the game and the analysis and trying to make some sense out of it, right? So here, where does the rook move? Rook h2 is kind of the only move, right? If I go to h3, you take. If I go to g4, you take. And h1 is not possible, and this is hanging. So rook h2. Let's play rook h2. Okay, now how does white proceed? So now I'm definitely threatening bishop takes e3. If you don't save the pawn, you're in trouble. I'm also threatening knight e2. Now, Vihan, you have to tell me what's happening after that. What if I play knight e2? Right? I'm threatening two moves. If you're going to suggest a move for black, I want you to remember that you need to answer for those two moves. One is knight e2. The other one is bishop e3. But I can also play knight e2, Vihan. So, Eric, you're suggesting. So looks like the moves I'm getting here are basically 2 or 3 moves. I'm getting rook e8. I'm getting bishop b4. I'm getting bishop g4 and bishop c5. Okay. Let's do a little bit of calculation. By the way, I don't remember. So rook h2 was not played in the game. In the game, a different move was played. I don't remember exactly. So I'm going to try to calculate a little bit with you guys. Yeah. So let's see. If I go rook e8, then there is knight e2 that I have to answer to. I'm not 100% sure how I will answer that. Bishop b4 check is met with c3. Yeah. Sujia wants to know if I'm a grandmaster. What do you think, Sujia? What is your guess? Eric, I don't think so. Even bishop c5 kind of keeps it on way, right? Knight e2, queen f2, takes is possible. I think I can do that. But you're right. Bishop b4 stops knight e2. It stops bishop e3 because of rook e1. Yeah. But actually, bishop e3, rook e8, I can castle long, right? There is a back rank checkmate problem that you have. So let's do our calculation. So bishop b4, I will play bishop takes e3, and you play rook e8. I'm going to castle long. And it seems like we're instantly losing there, right? Unless I find a way to solve it. Yes, king d2 is also being considered. Yes, king d2 is also a problem, right? That's good. You calculated that. Very good, very good. So that means I have to think about it. I'm not so clear, guys. We have to try to solve this, yeah? How do we solve this? In the game, rook h2 was not played, knight d1 was played. Obviously, Pragg had something in his mind, right? Oh, wait. Hold on. My bad. Thank you, Austin. There is no back rank made. Did I just blunder my queen? Because this check runs into... Oh, but even then the position is bad, I think, right? So bishop b4, bishop e3, you play rook e8. And if I castle long, you want to play rook e3. No, but rook e3, yeah. Because there's bishop f8. I think let's keep our life simple and play king d2, I think. See, this is a better version of the back rank mate, right? Because rook takes, queen h2, queen e8, bishop. Even this is not so clear, guys. Where is this? Where is this heading? If I take this rook on h2 is kind of silly, yeah? I mean, I like my position because there could be a bunch of pins here, but the king is so bad. Yeah. This seems good for black, right? So maybe this is what works. So castle long. Okay, then let's go back to castle long and analyze this. So I think queen e3 variation looks bad. Queen e3, I think I'll take and go rook check and bishop here, and your last rank is completely messed up. So let's stick to rook e3, right? What do you guys think? Vihan, this is wait. Are you saying queen h4 here? I don't know which position you're talking about. I don't know where e2 happened, but we're trying to solve this one, yeah? Okay, you're saying queen h4 here. Yeah, so queen h4. But if you play queen h4, yeah, you're threatening rook h1 and you're threatening... I mean, rook d8 is still very unpleasant, yeah? How can I deal with that? So let's look at queen h4. With the threat of rook h1, as you guys are suggesting, and also the rook d8 check threat is still quite annoying. because this bishop will have to go to f8, right? I think some of you suggesting bishop f5. I think I'll just go rook h1. Yeah, rook coming back to e8 seems like a reasonable idea. Yep. But remember this, if black gets out of this, black is clearly better because the bishop pair is very good. And look at white's pieces. They're so messed up, right? The two bishops will help. And also bishop takes c3 is a threat. But I'm getting out with queen e3 and I'm threatening bishop takes c3. So this actually looks good, right? Even h6, then bishop takes c3 followed by some check. I'm not buying white's attack anymore. Yeah, I agree, guys. I think at this point we can stop our calculation and say black should be better here, right? But instead of queen h4, I don't think I can play anything else that's so strong either. Yeah? Yeah, we can actually do our evaluation. What do you guys think? Actually, let's do this. Queen h4, rook e8. Let's do our stockfish. Go on. Yeah, clearly I think most of you are going for black. The question is what evaluation for black, yeah? How good is black's position? If I play queen g3 again, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3. Yeah, I don't think I can try to create something. Draw with best play. Probably going to get tortured, but 0 points minus 0 0.6 to 0 0.8. Okay, let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, what do we got? We got minus plus. Yeah, clearly, I think black's pieces are better, but I would say that most of you were siding with black anyway. So I think your assessment was pretty good, right? Yeah, you were pretty close. You went 0.6 to 0.8. So, yeah, so that was good enough. Okay, I'm not going to check that with engine. So let's go back and try to analyze a little bit more. I like doing a little bit of this where we don't know what the conclusion is. We don't have the engine evaluation. We're doing some analysis. Okay, we go back. And instead of queen g3, I think Eric wants to try 92. Ooh, that looks... Why is this interesting? My first question is why? If I take your queen, you throw the check, and then you take my queen. Is that what it is? So if I take the queen, you want to check, and then you want to take my queen. It doesn't seem like it should bother me much. Yeah, b6, bishop b7 should be one way to simply get out of this trouble. But I also am thinking if I can be greedy and play something like rook g4, pick up some pawns before I do that. I have to be careful about the rook coming in, yeah? Yeah, but I think rook g4, g3, then I can just take. And at some point, I might just sacrifice my rook or something, yeah? Possible. Actually, so many interesting points, right? Look at this. This is such a bad structure for white, but then white's compensating with this one amazing rook. One great piece and three horrible pieces. And but I think, guys, just the simplest b6, bishop b7 should do it. I don't want to overthink this. I think black is doing fine after b6, bishop b7. What do you guys say? Yes? Yeah, let's go back. 92 is interesting, but I don't think... I want to make sure that all our variations are stockfish checked, right? We need to do that. Yeah. Okay. But it's saying about equal with rook e3. Ah, wow. Look at that. Only move to equalize is rook e3. Every other move, white wins. You guys just helped me find a puzzle. Black to play and equalizes the puzzle here. Okay. Let's try to see why this is going on. b6, king d2. Are they trapping that rook? Don't tell me they're trapping the rook. They are, aren't they? Did you guess 0.00, Alan? Did you? Oh, you said equal. Equal is different from 0.00. Sorry. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Yeah. So I want to just I'm curious. I'm curious to see what's going on because I cannot understand how black is simply losing after a move like b6. So we're going to play that out. So my guess is the rook is getting trapped, right? So let's try playing b6. Okay, king d2 or bishop a6. Okay. How did we miss bishop a6? Seriously? Okay. Now that okay, bishop a6, bishop b7. Even then, I didn't even see bishop a6, frankly, guys. But it's saying rook takes f8 and bishop takes b7. Yeah, so it's not like I'm surviving with bishop b7. I have rook takes f8. But I'm more curious about this move. Bishop b7. Let's play rook takes a8. Bishop takes a8. How are you trapping my... Okay, 92. No squares. I have to go rook g4. g3, I guess. Okay. And I'm threatening bishop h3. There you go. By the way, we kind of led our way. We set a nice segue to our next game, but we will. You saw this, okay? Okay, nice, very nice. Yeah, I think I had a small feeling about this rook getting trapped, but I didn't think the problem was I was always looking at knight f3. I didn't spend enough time, of course. I didn't think about knight e2 because the rook is not getting out here anyways. That's why king d2 was stopping rook e3. Yeah, very interesting. So you have to play something like rook e3 for sure to get out of trouble, and then it's just equal. And then I guess you go b5 or b6 and go bishop b7 maybe. Oh, but it's important that they're playing b5. Look at that. They don't want to play b6 and allow bishop to a6, so they want to play b5. Okay, anyways, now let's go back. So this is kind of the main part of the game, guys. So I'm going to show a little bit. Let's go back. We spent a lot of time, of course, here, right? But rook h2 was the move. Now I think we have spent enough time. Let's check what the engine suggests. By the way, I don't think we made a decision yet, but we're kind of running out of time. So I want to make that decision now. And let's turn the engine on. Oh, wow. By the way, this was from the World Cup. That's the reason, Alan, you could not have seen this in our camp. Okay, I'm sorry for messing up this alignment so much. Somewhere, I should be able to bring this thing, stockfish thing in. Oh my God. Fine. Okay, let's close this in a little bit. All right, so bishop c5, I guess, yeah? I know a lot of you said bishop c5, right? I know I got this from several players. Yep. But the curious question is what happens after knight e2? Are we just playing queen f2 check? Queen f2 check. Queen takes f2, pawn takes f2, and I think this king is getting super stuck, is it? King d1. Okay, king d1, I think just rook d8, bishop e3 is winning. So I have to go king d2 and rook d8, and I think rook d1, yeah? Yep, rook d1 is simple enough. Wow. White can actually defend the piece for now, but it looks knight g3. But look at this, yeah? And a5, yeah. So I'm actually not even caring about winning the piece for now. Just going after the checkmate. Yes, a5, bishop b4, bishop e6, or something like that. Yeah. Now, again, all of this I have not calculated, right? I'm just kind of showing this with the engines, like I said, because of the time constraint. But if I were training like you guys, and if I want to get better, typically these are the positions I would spend more time on. I would go to this position, set it up on the board, think, try to come up with multiple variations, and then try to check with the engine and see how it goes. Okay. So 1 second, guys. Sorry. So coming back to this, again, looks like a very nice finish. But the beauty of this is, right, Pragg was able to find all of these moves. And I mean, obviously, this did not happen in the game. Knight D1 was played in the game, but look at the evaluation at this point already, right? And even before this, let's go back from the beginning. I'm going to show you with the stockfish evaluation from the start, right? So we have D5 first, right? And after D5, look at this, D takes E4, the only best move, Queen G3, and look at that, Knight H4, exclamation point. He's finding these only moves, right? After Rook takes H4, Queen G1 check, every other move. The thing is, if I change the layout of the board, I think it messes up the video. That's why I'm not changing this. Sorry. You can pick up this game. It's again Maxim Lagarde, so you should be able to pick up the game online. Yeah. Queen G1 check, and the best part now. Look at this. E3 is minus plus. Every other move is plus minus. So a lot of you here were trying to take the rook. You were trying to play bishop takes H4, play F5, and different things, right? Yes, JR. Towards the end of the class, maybe I can show it to you very quickly. So E3, the only move. And then, in fact, white found a reasonable one, right? Right. So Jay wants to know if Pragg didn't cheat. Well, the good news is he's playing over the board, and he has done this enough so people know that he's capable of finding the best moves. So just because someone finds the best moves, that doesn't mean they're cheating, yeah? The problem is when there's no explanation, when there's no thing, something doesn't add up, yeah? Anyways, coming back to 91, and then even here, I think he's finishing off strong. He played, he played Rook E8 after this, which I think is a top choice. Yeah, pretty much top two. And he went on to win the game, guys. I think this is a good place to stop. You can see the rest of the game, right? You can see the rest of the game. I'm not going to show that game here. But you guys did, what do you guys think? You guys did well enough to see my game against Pragg? You guys deserve it. What do you think? Of course. Of course. A chance to see one of your coaches mess up is priceless, right? Okay. Here you go. This was played in 2018. Can you believe it was only 5 years ago? His rating was only 2515. Actually, his rating was about like higher than my rating. When I played this, I think I was somewhere like in the high 2400s. I've not beaten him. I played him against him once, only once in my life. And like I said this before, some of you joined later. This was in a closed GM tournament in Charlotte. And Pragg was actually trying to become the youngest grandmaster at the time, trying to beat Karyakin's record, right? And I was like, I'm going to be the one to stop him. Well, the way it turned out, he was actually having a bad tournament, but he beat me. So it was not exactly how it went. Liliana, unfortunately, yes, that's this game. All right, let's go on with the game. So I played D6, trying to take him out of the opening. I didn't know he's not a big opening guy himself, but in any case, like much younger, I know his opening prep is going to be stronger than mine. I want to play some safe middle game position, yeah? Okay, so moving on, I'm just going to go with the main. So I just develop my castle. Obviously, black is a little passive, white has a strong center. But then slowly I start gaining some confidence and I start playing fast and also gain some time, right? So I found some interesting ideas. Takes, Queen D7. I'll go through the main part. Get to the main part quickly. That's why I'm just skipping through the moves quickly. Knight G3. So somewhere here, I'm trying to be a little too cheeky. I want to go bishop D6 at some point, maybe try to create some pressure on the king side. I'm also stopping Knight H5, of course. So around here, there's plenty of pressure, yeah? Radhya, maybe, just maybe. So bishop takes F6, G takes F6, Rook D1. So at this point, actually, somewhere he missed a big advantage. I don't remember exactly. But you can see I'm trying to already put my pieces in like awkward places to survive. But right around here, I was already happy. Right? At this point, I was not worried about my position anymore. I knew I have kind of settled in. I cannot be worse here. I know my pawn structure is a little bad, but I have a bishop against a knight, and he has a lot of dark square weakness on the king side, queen side, right? Objectively, this is probably equal, right? But then I got a little ambitious because Pragg is actually a little slow player, at least at that time. I even now I feel like he takes his time. He's not like blitzing or anything, right? I saw my opportunities, like, you know what? This is the time for me to play a little fast and put some pressure on the little kid, right? That's how it works. He goes 92. Start playing these moves fast, blitzing out my moves. Bishop c5, king f1, and here I blitz my move, king e7. As soon as I play my move, I realize what I've done. What do you think Pragg did? Pragg is playing white. JR not close enough. Yeah, that's right. F4, the sad moment of truth. And then I started thinking now, like most of the time we spend time after the disaster, not before, and it's gone. I cannot do anything yet. Trust me, I tried everything. So rook h5 runs into just knight g3, I think, right? Oh, wait, knight g3, there is rook h4 again. No, here's the beauty. Rook h5 threatens nothing. If you take on f5, he plays g4 and my rook is still trapped. That's kind of sad. So anyways, so I played this. I was kind of waiting this around to try to see if I can do something. But the sad part is he didn't let my rook escape. And I had to resign in this position with equal material. And yeah, like I said, I would have wished to sacrifice my rook for a knight, but I was going to lose my rook most likely for a pawn. Or even worse, he might not even take my rook. He might just leave it there and go on, grab other things and win the game. So yeah, or he can just play g3 and just, like I said, king f3, king e4, go around this way. Or g4, g5. Like there are like 1,000 different ways for white to win here. But it ended up being that I got my rook trapped. And I think someone made a YouTube video about it, of course. They had to. And that's my history with Pragg. I was not picking on a little kid. I was trying to be the more mature grandmaster who can put pressure on him and then try to win the game. All right, I will open the chat now. Yeah, it's okay. It's fun to look at it right now. We kind of learn from the mistakes. Actually, it's unbelievable. We saw a similar rook trap in the game also today, right? That's why I thought that was actually very, very funny. In the first game that we saw, the rook on g3 was getting trapped in a weird way, which is so close to this one. All right, so what do you guys think? What are the chances? Pragg, Magnus. I know Magnus is Magnus, but still, what do you guys think? Any chance for Pragg? No? I got some maybes. I got some yes. He is definitely playing everything in this tournament. And also, if the game goes to the blitz, right, part of it, could be anything, right? I'm still going to say Magnus is a favorite, no questions. He was down against Ergas and he came back, yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm really, really looking forward to this week of chess, and I hope all of you are too. Some of you are probably out of school still. Some of you have started school, but still, even if you don't watch the games live, make sure you're watching the games and following and analyzing. World Cup is one of the best things you can do to study chess, okay? I think that's a good place for us to wrap up. I think I'm seeing you guys next week too. I will see you next week.